Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears. We're back here with the dumbest car of all time. And if you watched my last video, we left off very close to getting this car SMOG legal. I have already gone to AAA to obtain a one-day operating permit so that I can legally drive this car out to the SMOG shop and also drive it around town for a little bit before I go to the SMOG shop. But there is one last thing that I need to do before I can go do that. It turns out I may have made a little bit of a mistake with my power steering rack. Further investigation revealed that I was actually using ATF Type F. Upon further research, I discovered that this car is actually supposed to use Dexmer 2 or better, not ATF Type F. So before we go take it to the SMOG shop, we're going to drain out this ATF Type F, and then we are going to refill the power steering reservoir with Dexmer. Well, now I got this car legal to drive. I've got insurance on it. I've got the one-day operating permit. We are going to try to get it smogged. I've been idling it for the past few minutes. Everything seems good. No check engine light. So let's just get right down to it. You know, it's really a bummer that the previous owner didn't non-op this car, but and you know the reason it's a bummer is because I have to pay for the full year, the same as if the car were actually on the road. So it turns out that it's actually cheaper for me to, oh Jesus, this wheel is so off center. It's actually cheaper for me to get insurance, smog it, and then non-op it, so that if I need to keep this car off the road for a whole year, that's not a big deal. I am pretty scared to drive this car, so we're gonna take it easy on the side streets. I tried to center the steering wheel, but it is way off center. The power steering pump is noisy. I might rebuild it. The valves sound great though. The car really picks up nicely. Transmission is a little chunky. Kind of concerns me a little bit. But as long as I don't try to speed shift it, I may do that rebuild thing that they talk about with the shifter. You know, you take apart the top of the shifter and it's supposed to make it a lot better. Brakes feel okay. I mean, they work. The suspension is absolute garbage. And if it feels smog, I'll know a lot better what I need to do. And they're closed. Me. Alright, well, we're going back home. Please don't die on me. The power curve is way screwed up. It's restricted just below 4,000, and then it picks back up at about 4,500. Is it getting hot? Or is that just where it's supposed to be? I don't like this temperature gauge. I could be also low in coolant. definitely overheating. I'm really close to home now. I got the heater on. I don't know why I'm overheating, but I'm definitely overheating. My car is cursed. It could be not enough coolant because when I rev it, the coolant or the temperature gauge just drops way back down. But when I let it sit like this, it heats up. That sucks. That really sucks. At least it was an adventure. I do have to figure out why it's overheating though. First, once it cools down, I'm gonna check the coolant level. And then it also could be related to the sluggish power I was having. You know, the car being out of timing can cause it to overheat. It might be that too. Or there's a leak somewhere, or God, it could be so many things. I learned by running this car in the garage that I am gushing fuel out of this here fuel injector. And I think I made the mistake of turning this thing after I installed it, because I remember this being like turned way out and I couldn't fit the plug in. So I'm pretty sure I unseated it by doing that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the fuel rail out again and check the seals and just reinstall it. It's not hard at all to do. That's the most crucial issue that I got going on here. I thought I was leaking coolant, but I may have, well, look, I may have still be leaking coolant. It's a little hard to tell because I was leaking fuel. I am also definitely still leaking power steering fluid, and I'm not sure what I can do about that yet. But first and foremost, I gotta get this fuel leak resolved because the car's not gonna catch fire if it's leaking a little bit of coolant. This is potentially really bad, so I gotta solve this first. After a little bit of trial and error, I determined that, well, for one, this O-ring was the offender. And that is because it's hard to see here, but there is a little bit of a pinch on it. I replaced it on the injector that had the pinched O-ring, and I also noticed that the new O-rings were slightly fatter than the ones that I just removed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and replace them all. Hopefully these injector O-rings last a little bit longer than 0 miles. I let the car sit overnight so that all of the fuel could evaporate, and just ran it for about 20 minutes just now. I warmed it up to operating temperature, checked the timing again, kept it at 10 degrees, and I don't seem to be seeing any leaks. So I think we're in good shape. Underneath the car, there are 3 spots. 2 spots where we are leaking oil, and 1 spot where we are actually dripping water. One of the spots is up front. We've already seen this, the power steering rack itself. Back here, we are actually leaking unicorn tears out the transmission. This concerns me, but at the same time, I know I've got to pull the transmission anyway. This is just confirmation of that. It's the, it must be the seal that is between the transmission body and the output shaft leaking down here. And then back here, we just have a small hole behind the cat converter. It looks like the seal between the flange has a small leak in it, and I'm just dripping water. That might be a problem with SMOG, but I don't really think it will be. Well, there's only one way to find out. And so now we're gonna go on another test drive. And if things are looking good, then we'll drive it down to the shop and see if they will SMOG it for me. All right, well, hopefully this car doesn't try to kill me. At least I'm legal to drive. Whether or not I'm safe to drive is a whole other story. Well, I failed smog inspection. I can't say I'm terribly surprised. The most notable was the NOx over here, measured 1056, max 847. And I also tested, just a little high. Really, this means I need a catalytic converter. And again, I'm not surprised. If this thing drove around for any amount of time with a blown head gasket, which it probably did for years, it most definitely failed the cat. Thankfully, I was able to score a California approved catalytic converter from Rock Auto for a decent price. I got the very last one at the price that it was at, and when I checked again after I made the purchase, the price jumped up by about 70 bucks. So I did pretty good. So we're going to throw this on here and go for a retest. Got the old one out. You hear that? That sounds bad. Yep. I think now that the cat's out of the car, I think it's customary to start up the car with open exhaust. Oh, this is going to be stupid. Ooh. Okay, that's enough. That was terrible. Oh, God. All right, it's in. Oh, my God, this motorcycle. Okay. All right, it's in. Let's see how it sounds now. I gotta tighten these bolts. Yeah, it sounds pretty horrible. Okay. Hey, it turns out it's not my fault. So I pulled the rear gasket off, and so here's the one that was on the car previously. This is the new one that came with the catalytic converter. I'm going to go ahead and set the new one on top of the old one and line up the holes. Notice something? Notice something? Yeah, the old gasket is quite a bit smaller than the new one. I'm pretty sure this is why it still sounds like a trash can. So, the good news is that it's not my fault. All I have to do is run down to the parts store and match up this gasket, put the new one in, and I should be good to go. Well, I did have to replace one of the washers on the exhaust bolt, but I have the new gasket in. Let's give it a try. That actually sounds pretty good. Way better than it did before, that's for sure. Well, I found a little oopsie. You see that zip tie right there? That is holding that little cooling hose. Because that little cooling hose was rubbing against the belt. The belt was cutting into it. And it's actually pretty gnarly. I hope I survive smog. I should survive smog. But I gotta go fix that as soon as I'm done. Smog. As you can see in here, it's the zip tie fell into the part that got cut. So yeah, I gotta replace that ASAP. But hopefully I'll pass smog. Okay, today's the big day. We're We're going to SMOG shop for, I guess, the third time, because I got sent away last time for an appointment today. But it should pass. This is going to be the second test. Has a new catalytic converter. It should pass. And hopefully that coolant hose doesn't explode on me on the way there or during the test. This is also the first time I've driven it with the new catalytic converter, because I didn't want to risk getting pulled over with this one-day operating permit and then having to go get a second one. It really takes off. It feels really good off the line. I do smell coolant. I don't seem to be trailing any. Phone is bouncing around. I passed. And the car runs great now. So now that I've passed SMOG, the next step, I obviously have to take this paperwork over to AAA. I'm gonna go ahead and do that tomorrow, because I want to take a different car. One that I'm fairly more confident that it will get me home alive. Because this car may be street legal, but it is not safe to be on the road. So what's next for this car? Well, as you know, I've been doing a lot of this work on my house, and I'm pretty much throwing every penny that I have at this remodel project. So I really can't do a whole lot to this car, because most of the stuff I need costs money. I need money to do suspension. I need money to do bushings. I need money to fix the frame rails. But there's a few things I can do for cheap or free, and that's mostly going to be on the interior. I'm probably going to gut the interior. Try to figure out what to do. Like, I want to maybe get a nicer steering wheel. I have a Grant GT already. I might just use that. But I might get another original Miata wheel. Who knows? I've still got a little bit of overheating, but I've also got that hose that's about to explode from being cut. So it's running a little hot. Every time I go up this hill, it starts running hot. So I've still got some issues to work out with the cooling. I may just dump the radiator once I get some money. I may just go ahead and put in a high quality radiator, just because it's just not worth screwing around on a car that you intend to rely on when it comes to cooling systems. Go overkill. May as well. Battery, yeah, I know. God, I'm so happy. This is a huge step, and I can, once I process the paperwork, registration for this thing is due in March. It's February, so I can non-op this thing now, and then I'll be able to cancel insurance on it, and it won't cost me anything anymore. It won't cost me anything to own this car. So it won't cost anything to let it sit for a while. That's nice. I'll be able to do other projects. I've got some things I want to do to the Jeep. I want to make it a little bit nicer. I want to potentially sell the Jeep. But We got to do some work on it first to get it there. But now I can do all that. I can do some work on the Prelude, some work on the Jeep. Everything has to be cheap, but it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be something different for a change. God, I'm so happy I got this car done. I'm not going to do a burnout in my dirt driveway. But yeah, this car's still a complete mess, but at least it's street legal. It passed SMOG. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.